Hi, Jamie here. I'm so sorry that it took me so long to make this video. I did not expect that it would take me over a month to make part two of the Mind Awake, Body Asleep series, the two-part video series. But I've had a pretty rough month, so I just thought I'd spend a minute saying what I've been going through. After I made that video, I went to Los Angeles and saw my family, which was really great. My husband sent me there solo without the kids, so it was a lot of fun. And when I was there, I had 2 crowns done. And it was only about 4 hours before I got on the airplane to come back to China that I realized that the bottom one had gone bad and had moved into, even though the permanent crown was in, had moved into a root canal. And so I had no choice. I had to get on the plane. So I just grabbed a bottle of Advil and had a pretty rough flight for 12 hours coming back to China. And when I landed, I had no choice but to go find a dentist, which was kind of my worst nightmare. So I did find a dentist, and the procedure was kind of rough, to be honest. But and then the recovery was really bad. It took me like a week to recover from the first process for the root canal. And then, I could hardly breathe on my tooth. It was so bad. And then the next week, we went to Bali, which was great. And then the week after that, I had the final process of my root canal taken care of. And then the week after that, I got the flu, which moved into strep throat. And for almost 3 days, I could hardly walk, and I had a 104 temperature. My husband had to actually stay home from work. I couldn't even make it to the restroom by myself. It was really bad, really bad. And then I had no choice, but it moved into strep throat, and I had to take antibiotics, and I had a reaction with the antibiotics, and I have like this kind of rash still all over my body even after a week. So it's been a rough month. Of course, we had our trip to Bali, which was great. But anyways, I just wanted to explain what was going on with me, just for the heck of it. So anyways, I'm back though, and I certainly really want to finish this video series and talk about the rest of my lucid dream experience surrounding the mind awake, body asleep idea that Scott brought up. And I've read all the comments, and I just love all the comments. And I just love having the conversation with all of you. So please continue. Where we left off was I had encountered a dream character, and she had led me somewhere. And I know there was a comment about distractions, and that is so true. I really feel like in these experiences, it's difficult to stay focused on your task at hand. And so I do believe that this dream character distracted me and said, "Oh, come with me." And so what happened was I turned the corner and I lost the connection. And the other thing just to mention about losing the connection, for me, sometimes it feels like it's taken from me. And I don't know if I'm right on that, but I'm curious to know if anybody else has had that experience. And the end of this experience will, I think, prove that sometimes the experience is taken from me. There's some kind of outside, maybe it's my subconscious, but there's some sort of outside source that is kicking me out of these experiences, frankly, because I did get kicked out of this one rather violently. So after I turned that corner, I managed to keep it together. I could feel that I was losing it, but I entered an elevator. And in the elevator, I went to floor 16, which 16 is a unique number for me anyway, for a lot of reasons that aren't really relevant here. But I went to 16, and I got off the elevator, and I started, in the elevator, the elevator was all mirrors. And so I thought, well, this is a great time to just look in the mirror, experiment with the mirror, and see what I can see, which I haven't done a lot, actually, in lucid dreams all these years. And it was interesting because the mirror, I would look in the mirror, and I could see myself looking in the other direction, kind of like those carnival mirrors. So every time I looked into a mirror, I could see myself, but looking in an opposite direction. And I did that all around the elevator. Which was interesting. I could see myself, but I just was looking in a different direction. So at this point, I always kind of start thinking about, okay, how long have I been gone? I tend not to care because it's harder to stay in than it is to get out. At least people that think they're going to get stuck. I mean, get stuck all you want because it's hard to stay in, at least in my opinion. So I did start thinking about how long I've been gone though. And so I was determined to just get as much info as I can. So I started again demanding to speak to my higher self. And I had seen Tilda Swinton in the beginning from the movie Doctor Strange. And I really think, Scott, you're right that somewhere you said maybe you should have like kind of paused when you first saw her and kind of interacted with her. It's so difficult to know if it's a dream character or if it's not, or if it's gonna, it's where do you put your priorities kind of. And I'm so used to just like getting in there, and if I'm in there, I just have really trained myself to start ignoring everything I see. Because in a lot of ways, I feel like I'm gonna have to. I need to jump some levels once I get in. I need to start like really, really working on it, feeling the vibrations, moving up, or out or in or whatever. Not in a kind of a hierarchy way, but to get that really powerful experience. But I think Scott's right. I think I should have kind of paused at that point and really seen the Tilda Swinton character as potentially my higher self in some regard. And I could have engaged with her instead of gone off and like started screaming into the ether, which is what I do. I even sometimes apologize as I'm screaming. I'm sorry I'm yelling in your realm, but I'm just trying to get something done. But this time I started demanding my higher self again, and I was really adamant. I get so adamant about it. And I started feeling the vibrations, and then a TV screen is in front of my face. And it's the rolling credits to Matlock, which is a detective show, right? I mean, we all know that. I had been going in for information, and here I am getting the credits rolling, like the show's over, to Matlock. And I just thought, you've got to be kidding me. This is like the way they're saying that somebody's telling me like you're done. And the credits were rolling, but instead of the song from Matlock, it was the song from Cheers. Specifically the line, "You want to go where everyone knows your name," which I was in there specifically to get a name. So I was so frustrated that I was seeing this. I even knew that I was in a false awakening where I could see my leg and the TV kind of was propped up on the bed. And I was like, oh, this is a false awakening. I don't want to be falsely waking up. I want to go back in. I want to dive deeper. And at that point, I'm not joking, I was kicked out of the dream. I was literally like shoved out. I could feel the force of just like, no, you're done. And they just, some force just threw me out of the dream, to the point where I was I was panting, I was like heavy breathing, like I was like trying to catch my breath. I got kicked out. I got kicked out. So, and at that point it had been about 45 minutes is what I had scheduled. I had kind of looked at the clock and thought, okay, I've been gone for about 45 minutes. Anyways, so that is the end of that experience. I just think there's so much to be said. So we talked a lot about the mind awake, body asleep state. And I know Scott mentioned in his comments this idea of having soft eyes. And I really, really think that's true. This paradox in there where you have to, on the one hand, be very, very calm and not get too excited, but you have to also be very, very confident and like go. So you have to somehow have both things going on. And I thought I would just sort of end there. I know that, like, for me, the biggest thing is, I've been kicked out of so many lucid dreams and experiences. When I'm asking something that clearly I'm not supposed to have access to that information. I was kicked out of many dreams for over the course of probably a year, where I would ask what my purpose was, my life purpose, to the point where even if I uttered the words, I'd get in there and I'd meet a dream character or maybe call in my guides and I would say, what is my life purpose? And like, I had guys literally say, like, you need to stop. Like, you cannot keep asking us this. We cannot tell you this. And I still did it. And they would just, I would just like get fuzzy eyes. And like, I was so lucid, but but they just were like, no. And I've had one guy just say, no, goodbye. So I'm interested to hear the thoughts about that, this idea of like there's certain information you can get, but there's certain information you cannot. And yeah, so I thought I would just end this video, this is a little bit longer, but with a quote by Terence McKenna, which I have never done hallucinogenics, not that I wouldn't, but I'm just saying like that it's just never my thing. But I certainly think that there's a huge parallel between people that do hallucinogenics and people that study altered states with their consciousness. And I just love this quote, and I really think it kind of harkens to what Scott was talking about, so I'll just leave you with this. He said, "Do not abandon yourself to amazement. Do not give way to astonishment. Pay attention." I just think that's so perfect. There's really something about that. So anyways, I hope that branches some good conversation. I just always love to read your comments, and if I don't get back to the comments, it's probably because I can't get on the VPN or something. If you want to have a dialogue, I'd love to get emails. I'd love to just go back and forth. So anyways, I hope you're doing good, and I'll talk to you later.